Yeah, she's all finished and ready for Daytona, and I've put probably, I don't know, 40 miles, maybe? Just proving it, rolling around. Rides like shit. You know it doesn't ride like shit? My 2024 Street Glide. Yeah, I know. Don't, the chopper guys, don't get upset. They ride like shit. I mean, like, my wrists hurt after riding a thing because I'm like this. Like, it's like this. This is how you hold those grips. But it's okay because once you're done looking cool, and you do look cool. I mean, you're the coolest guy at the bar, right? On that, then you come home and you ride your Street Glide. Today we have something fun to put on there. It's not earth-shattering, but anything that isn't stock is better, right? Every once in a while, a present just like appears, literally appears. I don't know what's coming. I don't know anything about it. And suddenly a box shows up. What that is, sometimes it's bottles of liquor from you glorious bastards. But today, it was actually a painted part. So a lot of you know that one of my very best buds from when I started this channel and still a good pal of mine is Alan, CEO of Advan Black. He sent me, evidently, I did not know it was coming, a new chopped front fender, not for the ST, because we're expecting lots of stuff for that, a whole new body, for my Street Glide. Because, you know, they do all the color match stuff, right? So I already did I'll just show you. We actually had painted parts on here from two different pals. I just realized I thought about. So from fairing exchange, we've got the inner fairings. That's what Paul does. He specializes in inner fairings, and you go to a rally and have him put it on, which is, for an inner fairing, that's a deal because inner fairings suck, all right? You can do it yourself, you can order it and all that stuff, but go to a rally, have it done there. Paul also does the snow plows. And what else? What else do we do? All these little bits, these little buttons here and all this sort of stuff, that's all Paul. But my heat shields, that's Advan Black. And my tour pack is Advan Black. So this is all great stuff, including the rack and all that's the docking hardware and all that stuff. That's all Advan. But evidently they make a chopped front fender for this. I mean, I knew it. I just hadn't thought about it for doing this, doing it to this bike. And it just showed up. So unannounced, didn't know it. FedEx drops off a box, and inside it is a Whiskey Far chopped front fender. Now, again, anything that isn't stock is better, right? It is. Anything that makes your bike different from the way it came from the factory is an improvement. And that is I think it's the same fender they put on the ST. And there's a little more room, right? Like, you know, sticks out a little bit there, a little more clearance above the tire. You could make it a little tighter, right? Putting a 21, they lift the fender, I think, an inch, and that way the wheel actually fills the front fender out. But I kept stock sizes on chrome wheels this time. I'm not going to go larger just because, I don't know, something different, right? The wife's got a 21. That's Coastal Moto, and that's an Advan Black wrapper fender there. So what they did, I think, for these new ones is maybe just chopped them off a little more, you know? Well, probably not took one of those and cut it down. I'm sure they stamp it out differently, but sort of a similar shape, much closer to the tire, and it hugs the wheel and tire a little better. So we'll go ahead and swap this out. It's 4 bolts. Now, some of you got all pissed off when I got because you're like, what about garage yoga? You talk about doing garage yoga. I still do it all the time. I only have one lift, and there's more bikes than that. And the chopper kind of lives. Oh, look, it's leaking more. That's good. They do that. They sweat horsepower. That's what choppers do. So it's on the lift because I'm just constantly doing something, even though I just realized I put it back on the lift and I don't think there's anything left to do right now. Something will break in Daytona, but so far it's kind of just, we still have to go do the front rockers. I'm sorry, I digress. So we'll just pull in the Street Glide and do this old school garage yoga way where we just crawl around the floor. It is 4 bolts. Not a, highly technical job. Here I be, sitting on the floor again. You ever tried to fold a beach ball? It's kind of when it's like a fat guy on the ground. So I noticed something that I lost when I opened the box, and that is the 4 nuts that go in the back of the bolts. Anyway, but I have boxes full of hardware from having built her, as I mentioned before. So what I'm going to do is I just dug them out of there and found some. So it's 4 bolts, man. Your stock fender has captive nuts welded on the inside. So you just take the 4. What size are they? Look, we're doing an actual install video. Not really. Don't learn from me. 1/4 inch. Hex, Allen. It's always been an Allen. I don't know why it's Hex now. 1/4 inch bolt. So you just take your Allen wrench or your socket. This is what you want. This is in and out of my toolbox 7 times a day. The little ones are 1/4 inch. Big ones are 3/8. Big ones are 1/2 inch, right? You just need the 3 ratchets, and there you go. You got every size. Never found a size I didn't have. Oh, did they fall? Yeah, that's great. I just spilled some. Fantastic. So I'm going to take 4 bolts out. I'm going to take the stock fender off, put the new one on, put the 4 bolts back in, and then use these split washers and nuts that I dug out that are the right size, and put the fender on. I don't know. This is not an interesting video. I'm sorry I wasted your time. Yeah, how-to video. Look at that. Yeah, that's what happens when you use a rubber mallet and you miss what you were trying to hit, and you go ahead and hit your thumb, and then you, maybe, I didn't cry, but I wanted to, and I said many things about the person who manufactured the part that I was working on. And see, one-handed, oh, that's a big burn. And use peroxide. I have it, which is why I have the plague on that finger. But, yeah. So I'm really not going to video me taking 4 bolts out. Sorry if that's some sort of like fetish of yours. But let me go ahead and take the other 2 out, and then I'll just be back when it's done. I mean, let's be honest. He's never going to live this down. Why am I back on my feet? Because I'm like, wait a minute. Where are my spacers at? So here I am going, there's a spacer that goes through the fork and the fender. I'm like, where's that at? So I tear in the box, and I'm like, oh, did I throw that away? I just assumed I had tossed the one with the bolts. No. This is what happens when the CEO does something, as opposed to the guys who pack and ship stuff. So I'm going to call him out right now. My pal went ahead, and I thought he'd be like, oh, hello, fender will look good. So he took the fender and boxed it up and shipped it out. That's why it looks goofy, with no spacers or bolts in the box. So I thought I had just misplaced the bolts or something, but no, he must have. So I've sent him a message saying I'm sad now because the front fender is off my bike. I took it off and then went, wait a minute. So I guess I'll put the fender back on. I mean, and wait for the spacers and bolts to show up. He's got them there, I'm sure. This is a lesson. You let the dude who does the packing and ship, let them do it. Don't, you do the CEO stuff and let my CEO does the CEO stuff. I do the stuff I do. All right, so I guess I'm just going to put my fender back on, and we'll wait, and we'll conclude this video, and I don't know, maybe a few days, maybe overnight it, and then we'll be riveting. Looks cool on the chopper, though. At least I got a safe place to put it, because sitting on the rubber, it ain't going nowhere. Oh, or we can do that, like, true performance bagger thing, just no front fender at all. Stupid. Sorry, I'm someone out there I like probably has their bike like that, and they're all pissed at me now. I don't get buying a Mercury Grand Marquis and running with no front fender at all. Anyway, coming from a guy who has a bike with no front fender. All right, be back, I guess, when I have spacers. It's the next day, and the plot has thickened. I don't know how to say this other than my buddy's an idiot. So I got a response last night from Alan. Oh, yeah, this is what I heard. This is not how he talks. Oh, yeah, I realized I'd sent it without the spacers. So after FedEx picked it up, I ran to the post office because they hadn't picked up, and I airmailed the spacers separately. The boy sent the fender FedEx, then ran to USPS so he could overnight the spacers. These were in my mailbox. Sorry, I had to pause because, fat guy likes to eat. Just had Taco Bell delivered, and I'm going to jump off on a tangent here. You're gonna appreciate this, though. If you've been around a while and have been eating fast food a while, because, it is what it is. Back in the 80s, Taco Bell used to sell something called the Cheeserito, and it was amazing. And you can get one today. So what I did was online. Yeah, you're going to listen to me talk about Taco Bell for about 30 seconds. I ordered DoorDash, had it delivered to the house because I'm actually coming down with a cold. Didn't feel like going out, and I have meetings and stuff. You order a cheesy roll-up, and then on the little check boxes, you add pizza sauce. They're just red pizza sauce. And sour cream. And if you like onions, add onions. They used to be green onions back in the day, but then there was a salmonella outbreak, and things happened. So they don't have that anymore. But it's amazing. It's just like high cuisine, Yeah, so cheesy roll-up plus sour cream plus pizza sauce. Something they made 40 years ago called a cheesarito. Now I guess we should work on a Harley. I guess I'll pull the fenders off and put them next to each other. The funny thing is, this fender, same one that came on the ST, I think it just came out in 22, and I'm kind of like, with the new fairing and new bags and new tank and all that stuff, it's kind of looking, I love you, Harley, but it's kind of looking a little aged. You know, I think Full Tank, my buddy from Full Tank Adventures, he's got a custom fender. I don't know if it's from Advan or someplace else. And it's this sort of wrapper, shorty, chop fender. It looks really good on his Road Glide. So I'm looking forward to this. It's going to make a difference. But I'm wondering, like, do we need this fender now from the factory? Alan's going to kill me. No, we don't. Leave the old ones so you can still buy them from Advan. Damn it. I suck at this promotional thing. Anyway, so let me pull the fender off and we'll do a comparison. The saga continues with that boy. He sent black spacers. They have them in chrome. Does your, like, senior management ever decide to go out and, I can just do this myself because I am a brilliant person who can do financial forecasting and ordering and design, and then they go out and screw up everything. Like, just, I love you, buddy. Yeah, let the warehouse guys do the warehouse stuff. All right, I'll put them on because I got them, and I'm not waiting longer, but you sit in that office and you come up with the brilliant ideas for the new shapes and the colors and all that, and you let the boys in the back and girls put the stuff in the boxes because they're better at it. It's the wrong spacer/hardware kit. So the solution is, I called Steve from Sick Baggers. You know, this Steve from Sick Baggers, he works at Advan Black. And I'm like, this doesn't fit. Is there a secret? And he's like, the secret's to have the right hardware. Send me a picture of the package. He's like, wrong one. So we'll get it figured out, but I'm going to call California to the warehouse and tell them that Alan's not allowed out of his office anymore because I have to put my stock fender back on again now for the second time. It's been off twice now in the last 24 hours. And, yeah. So just know when you place your orders, people who fulfill the orders will be the ones doing it because he's not supposed to be doing this stuff. And that's why I have wrong stuff. Well, I just spoke to the boy, and I'll offer this excuse on his behalf. We are also ordering a ton of parts for that CVOST that's actually his, and he just got confused and sent spacers for that bike because we're talking about that also, and there's a different spacer. So 23 CVOs and 24 and up newer bikes have a thinner spacer. The older bikes, 23 and down, have a thicker spacer. He sent me 23s because we were talking about that bike at the same time we were talking about this bike, and he just got confused. So it's going to look really nice. I'm sure the third time's the charm, you know? Throwing the stocker back on is pretty easy, actually, just 4 bolts. These, you know, there's spacers and there's bolts and there's nuts and stuff, but, you know, we'll live. So and definitely by Christmas, we'll have that new fender on, you know? Well, welcome to the conclusion of the longest video I've ever recorded for the simplest things. I don't mean the longest in length of video, but, like, I started this a month ago, I think, and that is, as you know, the fender. So again, I pulled off the stocker, and I got that one there. And I think I have the right hardware now, which, yes, some of you are already talking about. Sure, I could have gone to the Ace and found the right hardware, but I had to go to Africa to work for a week. So in the meantime, Alan consulted with somebody, thank God, and sent long enough bolts so I can mount this thing up finally. So now let's put 4 bolts in after a months-long amount of work and see if we can put a chopped fender on this 24 Street Glide. Yeah, that's on there. So it is fiddlier than I expected. Let me tell you why. So you got these spacers, like you always do. I mean, like even the wrapper fender here on my wife's bike, so there's a spacer in there, okay? And it's just because the fender is flat, it's not flared out. This looks better than a fender that like has these legs, kind of like stocker, see? All right, that does not look as good as a flat side fender. Use a spacer. Okay, so that's what they do. The fender, it's a heavy piece of steel. It's not, you know, it's not plastic. I get that question all the time. That is a stamped piece of steel that is way thicker than stock, right? That's a, you know, heavier piece of steel than stock. So, when you're putting it on, put the bolts through the spacer through the bolts through the fender, and then just sort of finger tight them. And then work the spacer on the other side. The hardest part is the fender is about, at least this one, they're all going to vary because it's a stamped piece of steel. There's like 2 millimeters of flare that you're going to have to kind of shove the spacer in. It's not going to scratch it. You'll feel like, oh my God, it's going to scratch it. Mine did not scratch. This stuff slides on it just fine. This material they coat the spacers in. Also, chrome spacers. I don't know if they have them or if they're coming. I'm sure they're coming if they don't have them, but Alan sent me black, so I used them. So I wasn't going to, change that out. But there you go. I think that fits the shape of the bike way better. It's a lot sportier. It makes the bike look less Lincoln town car. You know what I mean? Not that the stock chop fender. I mean, yeah, I know this is sitting on the floor. Some of you are freaking out right now. But you can see that guy versus that guy. You got rivets, that flared out bit, and it's quite a bit larger. I use my phone, guys. I don't really have like a camera set up. But that fender is a lot bigger than that chop fender. I think that looks cool. Paint match is perfect, of course. I mean, that's never a concern. And there you go. So I'll put the price, the link in the description, all that stuff. But I remember I'm going to look it up right now, as promised. Whiskey Fire is an expensive color, as you can imagine. It's sort of candy-ish. So it's $4.99 with the spacers and the right hardware that you'll get and all that stuff. Just don't have Alan ship it to you. I give him hell, but it's the truth. You don't have the CEO shipping. Things don't go well. But if you go place an order, it's $3.49 for a Vivid Black, for example, $4.99 for Whiskey Fire, and then the colors sort of vary by, cost of the actual paint material and stuff. Paint's expensive. Like if you were to take a black 24 Street Glide and decide, I want it to be Whiskey Fire, and you just bought the material. Paint, paying the sprayer, the guy who knows what he's doing and lay it right, and all the or girl who knows what he's doing. I don't mean that. I just mean the paint. I bet it's $1,000. By the time you buy, I don't know if it's two-stage or whatever it is, but the paint and the clear, this is not sanding. This isn't prep work. This is the paint cans. I bet the clear coat for quality clear and this base, enough to do an entire dresser, $800 to $1,000. I bet you're going to pay just for the paint. So anyway, and that's not snake venom. Stuff like that's even more expensive. So it's $4.99 for a Whiskey Fire fender, and then it goes down. I don't think there's one anymore. Maybe snake venom. I don't know if it's a little more or not. But that's a really nice upgrade for like $500. You know what I mean? Like your bike is different. It's a different part. This fits 25s down to at least 14s. It's just the spacer that's different. So just check that when you buy one. There's a drop down and you say what year. Probably goes back, maybe goes back earlier. It might go back to 08 because I know some of this stuff, again, it's just a spacer difference. So anyway, chop fender for your new bike. Looks badass. Thanks again to Alan and the crew over there at Van Black. I really appreciate it. And then now I have to get this guy ready to get loaded for Daytona so we can have some chopper fun with our sketchy chopper friends. Love you all to death. Take care of each other. We'll talk real soon. Bye.